good morning to you and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24, broadcast live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Muslima Sholebo.
And I am Chimobi Walter Naji. Let's take the headlines.
National Council of State approves granting of pardon to 45 Nigerians.
Nigerians Akinwumi Additional re-elected as President, African Development Bank for another term of 5 years.
Plus, President Buhari appoints Colonel Dikio, retired, as Interim Amnesty Program Administrator. This engages Professor Dukubo as coordinator.
And Joint Admission and Matriculations Board, the lists 22 institutions for defrauding candidates. Let's take the news.
Now, the National Council of State has approved the granting of pardon to 45 Nigerians in line with the recommendations of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy.
Now, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Obakar Malami, announced this after the virtual meeting of the Council convened by President Muhammadu Buhari.
And State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the Council also approved some key appointments in government as well as the national response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Holding for the first time in nearly 19 months, the well-attended meeting of the Council of State was convened by President Muhammadu Buhari to seek the advice of members in the exercise of his powers. Former President Goodluck Jonathan joined the President in the Executive Council chambers for the meeting alongside Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, and few members of the Council. Other former Nigerian leaders, present and former Chief Justices of Nigeria and the 36 state governors participated online from across Nigeria. And in line with the constitutional dictates and requirements, the Council approved a memo on the presidential pardon granted to 45 Nigerians.
2 inmates were presented for pardon, 39 inmates for clemency, and 4 ex-convicts for presidential pardon.
The beneficiaries include the late Professor Ambrose Ali, former governor of the defunct Bendel State. The council, the minister said, also approved the appointment of 2 legal practitioners, Namoso Ekanem from Akwa Ibom State and Mahmoud Abubakar Mogaji from Niger State as members of the Federal Judicial Service Commission. Also approved for appointment were Nasri Isa Kwara and 11 others as chairman and members of the National Population Commission, subject to confirmation by the National Assembly. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, updated the Council members on the national response to the coronavirus pandemic.
We received a commendation that our response is well coordinated, is robust, and the level of engagement with the subnationals and other critical stakeholders. This is one response that has attracted even the review of the international community. We will not relent in our efforts as members of the Presidential Task Force, but we will continue in an accelerated manner.
The National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, who briefed the Council on the general security situation in the country and efforts at mitigating the challenges, announced the approval for the establishment of the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons to be domiciled in his office.
This center will provide the strategic framework for containing the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, especially those coming from across our borders within the sub-region and also those coming in through the maritime environment. And I want to reassure you that a lot is being done in conjunction with other entities of government to deal with problems that I may not mention here.
Already, he said, President Buhari has approved continued recruitment into the armed forces and the police, increased state-of-the-art equipment procurement that will serve the force multipliers, and also ordered better synergy and collaboration within the security agencies. The Council was also briefed on the state of the nation's economy as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and drop in oil prices.
And the current coordinated efforts of the federal government to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, and especially the 2.3 trillion naira economic stimulus plan, would reposition the economy on a sustainable path of rapid recovery.
Even though our resources are scarce, but I think we are facing the right direction, and for us in the National Assembly, we will continue to approve good policies of government, especially when it comes to areas that will touch the lives of the most ordinary man to help him survive this situation and even do better after the COVID situation.
The National Assembly, he said, is impressed with what has been achieved so far in keeping the economy afloat. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, Akinwumi Adesina has won the election for a second 5-year term as President of African Development Bank. Now, this is coming as Nigeria and other African leaders challenged the management of the bank on social and economic development strategy post-COVID-19. Details with Musa Babaliu.
This is the first time the African Development Bank is holding its annual general meeting virtually in compliance with COVID-19 protocols. The general meeting coincides with the time the bank is due to elect another president. Akinwumi Adesina of Nigeria presented himself for the election in which he was the sole candidate. He was endorsed by the governing board and returned elected. Adesina, the first Nigerian to hold the post of the bank's president, expressed his readiness for the vital work ahead.
With the pandemic, Africa has lost over a decade of economic growth. Africa's recovery will be long and difficult. Now we must help Africa to build and to build back boldly, but smartly, paying greater attention to quality growth, health, climate, and the environment.
Nigeria's Minister of Finance, who represented her country during the meeting, said there is the need for the bank to put aside sentiment and work for the interests of the continent.
I believe that a successful virtual annual meeting and the election of the president will send a strong signal to the world and regional member countries that the African Development Bank remains a strong and stable bank that will continue to partner with the continent in its developmental efforts, particularly at this time of global uncertainty and severe challenges.
President Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire challenged the governing board of the AFDB to come up with ambitious policy towards improving the socio-economic well-being of the people, which were disrupted by coronavirus pandemic. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari, on behalf of the Federal Executive Council and Nigerians in general, felicitates with President of African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, on his re-election for a second term in office. A statement from Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says the news of the victory came during the Council of State meeting, which was attended by former heads of state, Senate President, governors, some ministers, and senior government officials. As Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa announced the good news, and President Buhari led a round of applause and declared he deserves it. The President extends appreciation to the African Union for its endorsement of the African Development Bank President much earlier, and to shareholders of the bank who worked tirelessly to ensure the return of the visionary leader. President Buhari believes Dr. Adesina's versatility, experience at both national and international engagements will be further deployed to energize the Pan-African financial institution, urging him to remain focused and steadfast in pursuing the noble goals of making life better for Africans through various development plans already captured as High 5S. The President rejoices with family, friends, and professional colleagues of Dr. Adesina over the re-election, while commending members of staff and board of governors of the bank for their consistent support for the former Nigerian Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development and his management team, while pledging full support of his government to ensure a successful tenure for the bank leadership. President Buhari prays that the Almighty God will continue to strengthen Dr. Adesina and his team for greater good to the continent.
In the meantime, guests on NTA's current affairs program Nigeria Today has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for supporting the re-election of Akinwumi Adesina for second term of 5 years. They also charged the new African Development Bank president to consolidate on the gains of past achievements and stimulate more areas in infrastructure and agricultural sector, among others. The guests, while appraising the performance of the AFDB president, urged him to remain focused and steadfast in pursuing the noble goals of making life better for Africans through various development plans already captured and innovative programs. And consistent support for the former Nigerian Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development and his management team to ensure a successful tenure is one of among other recommendations made by the guests. Nigeria Today airs weekdays live on NTA News 24 at 7:30 in the evening.
And in the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Colonel Milan Dixion Dikio, retired as interim administrator of Amnesty Program with effect from August 21st, 2020. This followed the president's approval of the disengagement of Professor Charles Kweka Dokubo from office as a coordinator of Amnesty Program with immediate effect. A statement from Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says Professor Dokubo has been directed to hand over all official matters to the most senior officer of the program. President Buhari appreciated the services of Professor Dokubo to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and wishes him the best in his future endeavors.
And in the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with Nigerian-born K.C. Madu, appointed Minister of Justice and Solicitor General for the government of Alberta in Canada. Madu makes history as the first African-born provincial minister in Canadian history and is also the provincial secretary and keeper of the Great Seal of the province of Alberta. In a statement by the special advisor to the President's Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, President Buhari describes the honor as landmark and historic, saying it once again pedestals people of Nigerians' descent as go-getters who distinguished themselves in different walks of life. The President also says as the first black justice minister and solicitor general in Canada, Madu has written himself into history books and urges Nigerians both at home and abroad to remain good ambassadors of their countries.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Up ahead,
attention on subtle change to noted epicenter of COVID-19 as NCDC announces 296 new cases in the country.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
thank you for being with us all the time. Now, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 296 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released brings the total number of confirmed cases to 53,317 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 17 states indicates that Plateau recorded the highest number for the day with 85 new cases, while Enugu has 46 new cases, Oyo 31, Lagos 21, Rivers 20, FCT 15, Kaduna 13, Bauchi 12, Delta and Ekiti states 11 each. Others are Akwa Ibom 7, Ebonyi 6, Kwara 5, Ogun and Osun states 4 each, while Gombe recorded 3 cases. The day's tally is completed by Niger State, recording 2 cases. On confirmed cases by the chart, Lagos has the highest with 18,056, followed by the FCT with 5,094, and Oyo comes third with 3,091 cases. With the latest development, total number of active cases stands at 11,580, while 40,726 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, and unfortunately, 1,011 patients have died.
In the meantime, resumption of international flights has been shifted by 1 week to enable the Ministry of Aviation fine-tune required logistics.
Now, meanwhile, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has launched 2 online dashboards to track the national response and donations towards fighting the pandemic. Mitari Ipen tells you more.
Airlines and designated airports are ready to operate, but the 1 week extension of the resumption of international flights is attributed to other non-aviation logistics, which must be put in place.
It has to do with the online platform, where before departing you are supposed to go fill information, health information, contact information, and pay for your second COVID test in Nigeria 7 days after you arrive. There are some issues because you're going to have an initial platform, and depending on where you're going, it's going to direct you to another particular platform to deal with that. So we're still working on that.
2 online dashboards, the COVID-19 Incidents and Response Tracker, as well as the COVID-19 Resource Mobilization, will serve as transparency and accountability portals for the PTF.
We will continue to collaborate with the private sector in creating models that ensure all our activities are easily accessible by the public in line with the Freedom of Information Act.
Any one of you can go onto these dashboards to see how we are mitigating this pandemic, as well as the resources required and the resources that have been utilized.
The task force appeals to public offices and business owners to strictly enforce its no mask, no entry policy.
If every shop, every restaurant, if every mosque, every church insists on this, it's only then that we'll be able to arrest and slow down the rate of infection.
6 months after Nigeria's COVID-19 index case was announced, the Presidential Task Force is determined to bridge gaps in testing and risk communication towards containing the pandemic. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And few days to the resumption of international flights in Abuja and Lagos airports, additional advisory of an upward review of passenger service charge to commence from September the 1st has been released for airlines and passengers.
Now, an aviation correspondent Emmanuel Animero was at the international wing of the Abuja airport to update on the level of preparedness.
Due to the loss of billions of dollars to COVID-19 in global air transport industry in 2020, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, which has a shortfall of over 16 billion naira in the last 6 months, has come up with a new service charge to rescue the agency from going under. Domestic passenger service charge is to move from 1,000 to 2,000 naira. ECOWAS region to have an additional $30, while intercontinental is to get $50 in addition.
The VKC increase will be additionally used to further improve our facilities. Most of our airports will have dilapidated facilities. These are airports well over 30, some 40 years.
Meanwhile, the international terminal of the Abuja airport has put every measure in place to check COVID-19 cases, starting from the entrance to the departure gate. A screening camera to peak temperature has been installed.
At the entrance, before you carry a luggage in, it must be disinfected or fumigated. When you come in, after every operation, every flight, facilitation, the whole place will be clean and the same process will be undergone to ensure that the place is safe for the next flight.
Although this international terminal has been conducting skeletal operations for evacuation and repatriation due to the suspension of international flight as a result of COVID-19. It is, however, expected that when international flight begins, this terminal would bubble again. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Now, to ease the economic burden posed by COVID-19, the wife of Akwa Ibom State Governor Martha Udom Emmanuel, through her pet project, Martha's Pregnant Care Outreach, has empowered 100 pregnant women across the 31 local government areas of the state. Joy Ubani was there and now reports.
The high rate of maternal mortality is very worrisome, as some pregnant women, especially in the rural areas, hardly patronize hospital for prenatal and postnatal care, which lead to stillbirth and in most cases complications during delivery. It is on this background that the wife of Akwa Ibom State Governor Martha Udom, through her pet project, Martha's Pregnant Care Outreach, organized this enlightenment program for pregnant women from across the state. Apart from going home better informed on what to do during and after pregnancy, the women also receive material and financial support from the wife of the governor.
So many people did not prepare for delivery, like from the first time you get pregnant, but today we've been enlightened. Doctors have spoken to us, she has spoken to us. We are really encouraged.
A person like me, I didn't prepare. It takes me unexpected. This thing that she has given to me, I really thank God.
For Mrs. Martha Udom Emmanuel, the safety of pregnant women is her major concern, particularly in view of the ravaging COVID-19.
Why are we doing this? It's because of the ugly incidences we have seen that happen to pregnant women due to lack of knowledge. In 2017, what really challenged me was Akwa Ibom was stacked very high in maternal mortality. The level of antenatal classes we are attending now and the level of visitation to hospital has reduced the death of women.
Resource persons at the event harp on the need for safe motherhood, promotion of organic nutrition for newborn babies, and facts about cesarean section. In Uyo, Joy Ubani, NTA News.
And routine immunization in Nigeria will be sustained with more vigor despite zero certification of the country as a zero polio country. Stakeholders affirm this as Nigeria celebrates this great feat that started almost 30 years ago. Haman Jabani has more.
Africa, and particularly Nigeria, have been certified as polio-free country. However, stakeholders say there is the need to be more vigilant to prevent the resurgence of wild polio virus, as 102 wild polio cases have been reported this year in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Nigeria and the region can defeat the importation of the wild polio virus if all commit to increasing vaccination coverage and strengthen surveillance.
This gives us the confidence that if we deploy lessons learned and use the tools and management structures acquired, we can build and strengthen our primary healthcare network to sustain the tempo and gains for the broader aspiration of our health sector, which is to wipe out other vaccine-preventable diseases.
Our traditional and religious leaders were pivotal to overcoming the challenge of refusal of vaccination several years ago. This was one of the lessons we learned, albeit the hard way.
We commit to sustaining the wild polio-free situation, but beyond sustaining it, we're going to do so much more. We're going to continue to improve routine immunization, exceed and surpass historical performances.
Development partners, donors, and key players commended the Nigerian government for addressing the polio virus challenges under the National Polio Emergency Operation Centers, but stressed the need to strengthen routine immunization and primary health care services. They gave assurances of continued support and partnership with Nigeria to maintain the zero polio status. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Herman. Now, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed and his counterparts from Works and Housing and Special Duties visited the local Water Bridge project with confidence that the contractor handling the project will deliver by the end of the year.
It is hoped he will, and he sure will. He assures Nigerians that the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration will bequeath to the citizens a legacy of infrastructures that will last a long time. Anthony Forsen tells you more about this.
3 ministers, Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, Minister for Special Duties, George Akume, they inspected the 2.1-kilometer stretch of bridge, which stands at 97% completed. They told journalists who accompanied them on the inspection visit that the contractor handling the project has assured that the project will be ready for commissioning by the end of this year.
We have been assured by the contractor that this bridge will be ready for commissioning by the end of this year. The Honourable Minister of Works is also working on how to get the other side of the road completed.
At the moment, 37 bridge works, either construction, repairs, rehabilitation going on across Nigeria through our ministry. There's a lot going on across that even people do not see.
Security is important. Ensure that those who are working on this facility are protected. Don't allow anybody to pilfer the equipment. These are very costly equipment. Don't allow anybody to do that. Now, if you notice the presence of antisocial elements in your communities, don't hesitate to report them to the police, the military, and other security forces.
The west end of the bridge, called Loko, has a 76-kilometer stretch into Nasarawa State, while the other end to the west is Oweto, a 106-kilometer stretch into Benue State. It will cut off 6 hours travel journey time from the north to the south. From the local Oweto Bridge, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. We have more reports after the break. Please join us again.
NTA, you can't be Deutsch. You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News Mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Nigerians are breaking new grounds and setting enviable records globally. Have you heard that a Nigerian is now the Justice Minister and Solicitor General in Canada? Another Nigerian just won the primaries as the Democratic nominee for the USDC representative. This is just the icing on the cake. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite program, The Diaspora. And I am your regular host, Koinsola Adetumbi. Stay tuned. Oversight is the constitutional mandate of the third arm of government to exercise on the executive. It is in this regard that the Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on NGOs and Diaspora Affairs, Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe, visited the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, in Abuja. Enjoy the conversation.
Nigerians in diasporas, or our citizens, our colleagues who are outside this country, constitute a significant proportion of our population. Not in terms of number alone, but in terms of their importance to the economy of this country. And we are aware that there are several countries in the world, even that are bigger, like a country like India and so on. Let me go back in those days, for those of us that are about my age, when we were in secondary schools, we had large number of Indians in this country who were coming. I mean, like most of my biology, my chemistry teachers, they were Indians. And they came, just like we have Nigerians now outside, they came here on the auspices of bilateral relationship between their government and Nigeria. And they were remitting resources home, they were contributing to their country. India today as a developing country has really gone up. So we also can tap into the economic resources available from diaspora. But not only that, we can also tap into the technical and expertise that we have there, because they are our citizens, they are Nigerians. And that will support our country in terms of our next level economy, our next level technological development. As such, this commission is critical and important. If you look at the resources available to this commission, vis-a-vis the activity it has to do, vis-a-vis its contribution to Nigerian economy, to Nigerian technological development, and Nigerian security, because there's a relationship between what the diasporans are doing and the security of these countries. Why do I say this? The resources they contribute will help us to be able to find security. The technology they will bring in, they are also well placed with the various international, countries where they are, which could be assistance if we exploit well, in terms of our being able to receive necessary assistance to confront the current security we have. The other one we have to do when I talk about security is that as a developing country is facing some challenges, we have a lot of our citizens who go through illegal means to be able to relocate themselves. And this constitutes not only an embarrassment, but constitutes security concern to us. And that's why these commissions will need to be empowered. As National Assembly, therefore, during our visit, when we listen to the commissions about its activity and so on, we'll be able to see, before the 2021 budget is finalized, what recommendation we'll make to both the Finance and Appropriation Committee that will help to strengthen its activity.
And people just appreciate the volume of work that you have to do. Because, like Nigerians at home here, I think Nigerians outside the country are much more helpless in critical situations like this. And I can imagine what you go through when you find such helplessness and you cannot help. So I appreciate you and assure you that in whatever area that I can contribute as a committee member, I will do to ensure that you have a good outing and that Nigerians outside and at home feel the impact of your activities.
This is our 1 year in office and we're grateful for all we've been able to do. And we have a structure of 5 departments and 5 units, and I must say with pride and joy that the Diaspora Commission has some of the most effective, most hardworking, most dedicated staff anywhere in this country. And like we said, despite no resources, we work very hard. We are hopefully expecting the diaspora policy very soon. We've sent it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for presentation to FEC. So maybe with your putting in a word or two, will also, it's important to speed it up, because it's a policy that has been on for 3 years. For the By EU, IOM, because it's better to have a national diaspora policy that will guide all diaspora movements in Nigeria. Of course, we were with us at the Diaspora Day celebration, which was very, very successful. Had almost 7,000 to 8,000 participants world over, and we're doing a lot with the outcome of that Diaspora Day celebration. But it's not just going to be a talk shop. We want to make sure that we implement whatever we came out with. We signed an MOU with a private sector body, the Nigerian Diaspora Summit Initiative. So we'll be working with them to organize the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit. We've done it twice, so we thought we should institutionalize it. So it's properly registered now, and the next summit will be in November. We also had, as an outfit of the Investment Summit, the Nigeria-Saudi Arabia Investment Summit, which we're also holding this year. For the first time, we had that summit in Nigeria. And it was amazing. Nigerians in Saudi, some had never been to Nigeria, but they came for that investment summit. And it was like, well, then we'll be coming home. So from that, they said they want it annually, and then we'll be doing it annually. And we have a lot of Nigerians in Saudi willing to invest in Nigeria. And they're all very successful and very rich. So that, again, we're holding this year. One of our programs is what we call the Badagry Door of Return Ceremony. Because of COVID, we may not hold again this year, but we might do a virtual event where we encourage our brothers and sisters taken away as slaves who come back home to walk through the path of that journey in Badagry. And then they went as slaves and we see them as kings and queens. A very emotional ceremony. And this year we had almost about 100 saying they wanted to come, but COVID, we'll do a virtual event with them because they still want to have a conversation around that. I'm also happy to inform you that as of today we have 27 diaspora state focal persons. Plateau just joined it, the governor called to give us his person, because we think diaspora should move to the sub-national level. Not just so, state now have, Anambra has a commissioner for diaspora, Gombe has a DG, so most of everybody except, I think 27 have diaspora state focal persons. So we have a group, we work with them, we talk with them, and we all work together, and it's been very impactful on the work of the commission. So that if you're coming to invest, you're going to a state. So it's important to have that communication, and we're happy about that. We've also been involved, as you know, in the evacuation of Nigerians abroad during this COVID-19. And I'm proud of the work the Commission has done once again. We're able to bring it to the forefront and give information and help in coordination. Although, of course, we had a single corporate budget for the Commission. Everybody got a budget except us. But it's okay. It's going to end now, but it's been a successful evacuation. I mean, it's people don't understand when people are crying. I want to go home, and they can't come home. So they're able to come. Some people are criticizing that it was expensive, but it's a COVID-19 evacuation. It's not the normal evacuation from Libya and all that. But we're glad, and including, of course, the stranded girls in Lebanon. To them, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because we're bringing them in 3 today, 4 tomorrow, but about 484 have returned home. And we're hoping we'll put a stop to all this stranded in Lebanon with the Lebanese ambassador. And what they've done is they've stopped issuing domestic work visas in Lebanon until we sort of our own migration laws here. So that, I think, is also a major step forward. Of course, you know, sir, that we were also involved in those who came back from South Africa. We were there personally to receive them, and it's a thing of joy to know that your country cherishes you and is there on ground to be with you. And some of them have been engaged in one thing or the other. We also linked them up with SMEDA, and these returnees from Lebanon are being profiled and will be rehabilitated by NACTIP and other agencies. We've had various town hall meetings in many parts of the world, particularly with Mr. President when he travels. And again, it's been very, very, very useful engagements with Nigerians abroad. Again, COVID has stopped all that, but we still talk to them virtually. We've had a few Zoom meetings with Nigerians in the US, in the UK. We're doing Qatar, China. We keep in touch with them. Critically, sir, we are working on building our database, and it's part of the areas we're going to need funding for. Without data, you can't do anything. We say 17 billion, but we don't know. We don't know. There are probably much, much more than that. In Africa alone, I'm sure by the time we have these figures, it's much more than that. So one of our priorities, which we have started, is building a data of Nigerians in the diaspora. It's going to take a while. It's going to cost some money, but it's something that has to be done.
Nigerians in the diaspora are indeed a great asset. Now we move on to a heartbreaking and indeed soul-moving story. It is all about Ibrahim Khalil Bello, a third-year civil engineering student of the Nigerian American University in Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. He was allegedly murdered, but reports say he died of mysterious circumstances. The family of late Ibrahim Khalil Bello came calling on the chairman CEO Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, demanding that justice must be done for the sudden and inexplicable death of the 25-year-old Khalil. Please take a listen to the heart-rending conversation.
On that Friday, because he was killed on the Friday night, on that Friday afternoon, he called me with a friend's number, and we spent over an hour on the phone with him. Then I told him I was going to return that night. My flight was to Nigeria was from 10 in the evening from UK. So on that Saturday, they had spread the news all over the media that this child committed suicide, that he fell from a 7-story building. So when these two boys, one of them is from Kaduna, that boy that called my eldest son is from Bauchi. When they came to pick me up, I asked them, I said, what happened? How can you be here? Something like this will happen to Khalil. They now said, truly, that when they heard of the news, they rushed. They said, when they heard that they are saying Khalil committed suicide, they rushed. They said, not the Khalil they knew. That Khalil, even trekking from this point to that point, even to walk, he will say, no, we will have to enter the bus. So he doesn't like anything to touch his body. So how can that be? They said it was a lie. They didn't believe it, because they are aware of such killings going on in that place of Nigerians, and always is the same story. So they rushed to the mortuary, and they were begging the mortuary keeper to allow them to see Khalil's body. He refused. He said he was only told it is only the parents or police that will be allowed to enter. But they kept begging, and luckily for them, the corpse of a lady was brought. So he said, okay, let them quickly enter and see him and then come out. So he was telling me, he said, Mama, I went, I saw Khalil. And Khalil was, well, they laid him face down. He said his body was neat. He was wearing his jalabia and his jeans. And there's no sign of any breakage on his body. His head was full of his hair, black hair. There was no injury at all on his head. The only place, he was telling me, he said, the only place I saw a wound was by the side of his face, that there was this small wound here, but it wasn't a gunshot. That was where blood was gushing out from and soaked his body. And when they checked, they looked, they checked, they said, Kai, no, something, there's a foul play here, that this boy was killed.
We wish to extend our profound gratitude to you for the opportunity given to us to visit you, to visit the Commission, to table our petition, just as highlighted by Honorable Justice Amina Bello Ahmed, over the unfortunate demise of our son, or mother of our son in Northern Cyprus. We believe we are at the right place, not just because of this commission, but because of your personality. Right from the time you are with the Nigerian Television Authority, and from there you proceeded to the parliament, and up till this point where you are, we know that wherever you have been, you have made a mark. And that underscores the kind of confidence that we have that, having brought this petition here, something will be done. We know that our boy has been killed, the child has been killed. We cannot bring him back, but for the sake of a good number of Nigerians that are schooling their they need a kind of protection. The government should be very proactive in securing the lives of Nigerians, both not just within the country but outside. And this thing has been happening. Nobody has taken any proactive measures to bring it to the notice of Nigerians that this is happening. Many parents struggle on a year-by-year basis trying to send their kids to those volatile areas, thinking that their children will go there and learn, only for the children to be brought back as corpses. I think you have a very important role to play. A lot of time has been spent, so much has been said. I cannot repeat everything that has been said, but just to reiterate the fact that we know here we're at the right place, and God will enable you and give you the wisdom to do the appropriate thing.
Accept my condolence, madam. Thank you. And may none of us ever witness the death of any of our children. Amen. And may God give you the strength and the courage to see you through this. I think the death of Ibrahim Khalil should be the tipping point to a stop in the killing of our children anywhere in the world, particularly in Northern Cyprus. As you said, it's not only Ibrahim. I can go through names. I have some names here. Ibrahim Khalil Bello, 25. Kennedy Dede, 28. Augustine Ngok from Plateau State. Gabriel Soriwe, who was a first-year student in electronical engineering. Oshabanjo Owoyale. Augustine Wallis. Stanley Eteno. Hassan Babatunde. Temitayo Adigun. Kubat Abraham. Ezegbe God's Power, Olashubomi Ope. These are just a few of the ones that we even know. Now, I remember sometime I was in Parliament. This Soriwe was killed, and we, went out there and said they should stop. In the middle of saying we will not tolerate any more killings of our students in Northern Cyprus, they actually came to Nigeria. Somebody informed me, I went to meet them at Sheraton Hotel and drove them out. I said, you are coming to this country where a student has just been killed in your university. And you're coming to offer scholarship, and they left. They never came back again. But then, because we don't follow up things, it's too much. And like I said, Ibrahim's case might just be the tipping point to help us put a stop to it. Now, we also work with the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, and the case has been transferred to the Interpol from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. So that is remarkable progress. So what we'll do as a commission is follow up, because all you need is closure.
Yes.
We can't bring Ibrahim back, but you need closure. Let's know what killed him. We're glad that you were able to stand up for those others that we got the we couldn't even reach the families. So there was no case of help us look into this thing. So there was but we have a whole long list, and we get more from Good enough, Balogun also has been with us from the National Assembly, so he knows what I'm talking about. So, accept our condolence, and these are the facts of the matter. The case is now with Interpol, concerning the Attorney General of the Federation. Our mission in Turkey has been working on all these cases. But for now, Nigerian parents, please, when you hear Northern Cyprus, don't send your children there.
So sad. We hope that justice is served. Still speaking on the ill treatment some of our citizens endure abroad, I'll now leave you with a video of Honorable Abike Dabiri Arewa at a webinar with Raoula Segir as well as other panelists as she discusses the ordeal our girls who were evacuated from Lebanon endured.
We're bringing back our girls. For a commission, a new agency of government set up to look at issues affecting Nigerians in the diaspora, and I've been at the airport receiving our domestic workers back home, so I'm glad to be part of this conversation.
Okay, when you see those images of domestic workers outside of their consulate, this is the Kenyan consulate, that's how we started the show. What is your first thought when you see that happening overseas?
Well, we had a video of Nigerians who, put out a statement out there that they were in a terrible condition, they wanted to come back home. For a lot of people, it's about the video. For me, it's about this girl calling me saying, help us, we want to get out of here. And what we did before the bomb blast, before even Corona, we had been bringing back our girls. And we had the support of the Lebanese government. As I speak with you today, we brought back almost 600 girls from Lebanon. So for me, when I saw those girls, I saw broken girls. When you see them at the airport, talking to them, they were broken, they were shattered. And what we need to do as women, as a community, as a society is, now that they're back, how do we get their lives back? How do we give them hope of a better tomorrow? Now, prior to even the Lebanon girls, we had received a lot of people from Libya who had been trapped in Libya. Based on our president's instructions, we got them all back home. And even these girls, what we did for them, what can you do when you get back? What job can you do? And I'm glad to say that for some of them, it's been a case of, you know what, there's always a tomorrow. There's always a future. So we have to help these girls to ensure that their future is not broken. And we have to stop abuse of domestic workers. Going abroad to work should not be such a challenge, should not be a disaster, should not be so terrible. It should actually be a case of, I want to work, I get a job. So the world needs to come together to ensure that particularly we stop all this. I believe that illegal migration can become legal.
Not so fast. Look, I'm tired. I want to check out of this country for greener pastures.
Just calm down for a moment. Please sit down. Do you have a job where you're going to?
No, but someone is arranging,
Listen, Aliko. Checking out of this country without proper planning means one thing. Unimaginable begin. You know, I've been in the diaspora, but legitimately doing great things at home and abroad. As I've been saying, without the proper footing abroad, the risk is not worth it. Listen, Aliko, it's better to be home than be trapped abroad, or even end up in prison.
Kudos to our brilliant chairman and CEO. And now on to our biggest story so far. It might interest you to know that last year we featured KC Madu on the show when he broke the record by becoming the first African-born to become a provincial minister in Canada. And once again, he has broken another record by becoming the first black justice minister and solicitor general in Alberta, Canada. Premier Jason Kennedy announced lawyer and Edmonton MLA KC Madu as Alberta's new Justice Minister and Solicitor General during a cabinet shuffle. Hearty congratulations, proudly Nigerian. We wish him success in his new role. That is not all. Aderi Yakubu Owolewa has been elected Democratic nominee for the next District of Columbia, United States Representative. If he finally wins, he will become the first Nigerian congressman in U.S. history. Keep soaring, folks. For staying all through the program. We hope it's been worth your while. And in case you have anything to share with us, please do not hesitate to do so as we expect feedback on our show. Remember, you can reach us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, on Twitter at NIDCOM_gov, on our YouTube page at NIDCOM_gov, on our Instagram page at NIDCOM_gov, and on our website at www.nidcom.gov.ng. You can also join us on DSTV at NTA Network News on Friday at 10:30 a.m., on NTA International on Tuesday at 6 a.m. and 10:05 p.m. on NTA News 24 on Friday at 2:30 p.m. and on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. You can also join us on WAP TV on Thursdays at 9 a.m. and on WTV on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. I remain your host, Koinsola Adetumbi. See you next time.
The date palm resembles the coconut and oil palm trees that grow in the forest regions of Nigeria in their structure and leaves. The date palm only grows in arid and semi-arid regions and produces a different kind of fruit. The date palm tree does very well in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, and its environs. It is an observed fact that traditional varieties of the date palm take years to mature from infancy when they begin to bear fruits. Popularly known as Debino in Hausa land, fruits of the date palm come in various colors and sizes. The flesh of the fruit is usually eaten raw when ripe or left to dry out in the sun as a form of preservation. This fruit, when dissected, has a long, hard, oily seed that runs through its length. Date palm fruits are very sweet and are eaten as snacks in the arid and semi-arid parts of Nigeria. Dates have a religious function among Muslims, particularly during the fasting month of Ramadan. This fruit is preferred over any other thing while breaking the fast and is usually eaten in odd numbers in compliance with the tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. These days, the date palm fruit is assuming a social function among the houses during wedding fatihas and naming ceremonies, where it is supplanting the kola nut. Perhaps that may explain why you see heaps of the fruit on sale on the streets and in marketplaces in major towns and villages in the northern part of this.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the game.
Here is the update at 11. The Council of State has formally ratified the grant of presidential pardon to 45 Nigerians in line with the recommendations of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, announced this after the virtual meeting of the Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari.
2 inmates were presented for pardon, 39 inmates for clemency, and 4 ex-convicts for presidential pardon.
We received a commendation that our response is well coordinated, is robust, and the level of engagement with the subnationals and other critical stakeholders. This is one response that has attracted even the review of the international community. We will not relent in our efforts as members of the Presidential Task Force, but we will continue in an accelerated manner.
This center will
provide the strategic framework for containing the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, especially those coming from across our borders within the sub-region and also those coming in through the maritime environment. And I want to reassure you that a lot is being done in conjunction with other entities of government to deal with problems that I may not mention here.
And in the meantime, the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his political will and measures to end terrorism and other forms of criminality across the country. Governor Zulum gave the commendation at the inauguration of the Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace in Buratai.
The Tukur Buratai Institute aims at training and capacity building for military personnel as well as civilians in counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, humanitarian response, peace conflict and peace building, as well as reconstruction, with a view to influencing policy at state and community levels.
We shall continue to support our armed forces. When we occasionally criticize, we do so with a view to improving on our successes and not out of lack of appreciation.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 296 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released brings the total number of confirmed cases to 53,317 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 17 states indicates that Plateau recorded the highest number for the day with 85 new cases, while Enugu has 46 new cases, Oyo 31, Lagos 21, Rivers 20, FCT 15, Kaduna 13, Bauchi 12, Delta and Ekiti 11 each. Others are Akwa Ibom 7, Ebonyi 6, Kwara State 5, Ogun and Osun States recorded 4 each, while Gombe recorded 3. The day's tally is completed by Niger State recording 2 cases. On confirmed cases by the chart, Lagos has the highest with 18,056, followed by the FCT with 5,094, and Oyo comes third with 3,091. With the latest development, total number of active cases stands at 11,580, while 40,726 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, and 1,011 patients have died. Thanks for watching. Another update comes up at 1 p.m. Have a very beautiful day.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The issue of the National Sports Commission has become a recurring decimal in the story of Nigerian sports. To have it or not to have it. The proposed National Sports Industry Policy does not even mention it. And they're thinking, is this a reflection of the position of the federal government that the National Sports Commission should remain scrapped? That is the main menu for conversation tonight as we sit for Parliament. I am Shegun Odebami, Speaker of the Parliament, of the Sports Parliament, coming to you live from the studios of NTA, Africa's largest television. And in Parliament with me tonight Bulika Okigbenro. How are you, my brother?
I'm very well, Mr. Speaker. Good evening and happy birthday to you once again.
Thank you very much. The Maverick himself, Onome Obute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Happy birthday to you once again. We thank God you are still alive, hale and hearty. Africa, we are ready to roll. Stay tuned.
Adenike Kian.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Today promises to be interesting, and I'm very ready. I'm sure most of our viewers are as well. So,
Lande Abudu.
Last but not the least, many happy returns of today, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, good evening, Nigerians. Good evening, Africa. Ready for the discussion.
Well, we also have Dr. Kweku Tando, who will be joining us. Is he there? Dr. Kweku Tando will be joining us. Kweku, are you there? Okay, Dr. Tando will be joining us when we come back from our break. After the break.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, hindsight, insight and foresight towards elevating Nigerian sports to the zenith on the floor of the sports parliament. Sports Parliament, a unique platform for sports discussions, showing live on the NTA. Keep a date with the parliamentarians. You guys have it.
Welcome back. You're just joining us. This is the Sports Parliament coming to you live from the studios of NTA. And we have a large house of parliamentarians. Kweku Tando has just joined us. It is always extremely difficult to discuss the issue of the National Sports Commission because I have found out from my experience that not too many people actually went through the different experiences of life under a ministry existing side by side with the National Sports Commission, or the ministry existing on its own, and then the ministry or the National Sports Commission existing on its own. It's not everybody that has gone through those experiences for them to be able to compare and contrast and look at the merits and demerits of this or that. So it has always been an issue for contention. And personally, because I went through all the phases, and I have a legion of Nigerians who have been part of the advocacy, the clamor for the return of the National Sports Commission. So here we are. We have a new Minister of Sports who is my brother, my friend, that we sincerely appreciate his energy and determination and commitment to sports in Nigeria. And we are committed to supporting him as much as we possibly can. But from his body language, it may appear that the National Sports Commission may not be on his table. So it is something we have to interrogate. Our people at the Nigeria Television Authority have gone out to do a small and a story about the National Sports Commission to be or not to be. Sit back and enjoy.
Involvement of government in sports dates back to 1962 with the establishment of the National Sports Council, which functioned under the Federal Ministry of Labour. This was later replaced by the National Sports Commission with the promulgation of Decree 34 of 1971. Realizing the importance of sport, government in 1975 upgraded the National Sport Commission to ministerial status and appointed a minister of cabinet rank to oversee its affairs. In 1991, the National Sport Commission re-emerged with the promulgation of that year. This body, which became a parastatal under the Ministry of Youth and Sport, was mainly responsible for the administration of sport in the country through national sport associations. The National Sports Commission was scrapped and the Ministry of Youth and Sport took over its functions. In 2007, the Ministry of Sports and Social Development was scrapped again and replaced by the National Sports Commission, which is here to enjoy legal backing through promulgation of an act by the National Assembly. The Sport Commission, as it is established in other countries of the world, is the apex federal government agency charged with the responsibility of implementing the policy and programs of the federal government with respect to sport administration, management, and facilities development, with Alaza Yakmut as the last Director General of the Commission in 2015. Previous Director Generals are Amos Adamu, Patrick Ekeji, and Benga Elegbeleye. Advising federal government to return to the National Sport Commission, stakeholders highlighted the positive advantages derivable, saying that it will serve as a pivotal to development of sports in Nigeria. It will reduce bureaucracy in the administrative process, give room for professionalism, and serve as a channel for fast and smooth implementation of the nation's sports policy.
The National Sports Commission is instituted. The National Sports Commission, as was operated before now, have what we call the zonal structures, which, established at the grassroots level. And they are able to drive sports at the grassroots level in terms of talent identification, talent development, and, bringing them into the national teams, even for effective participation.
National Sports Commission should be brought back and will be able to oversee other state sports commission. All state sports commission will now work towards the National Sports Commission. Then there's a tree that is formed and there's a focus.
Lastly, it pays more because the ministry will have its own budget. Then the what is it called? The commission will equally have its own budget. Nigeria has fared well. Let's check the history of Nigeria. Nigeria have done well in international sports or grassroots sports when we run under a commission. So I strongly subscribe that we run a sports commission in Nigeria.
It provides a platform for sports professionals of different specializations to gather under one organizational system to implement federal government sports policies.
Now Nigeria is operating in 6 zones. If we really mean business, it is this National Sport Commission that will now go into these zones, know what exactly the facilities that we put into zones.
The Minister of Sport, Sunday Dali, in one of his appearances on this formal sports program, Sports Parliament, disclosed his support for the return of the National Sports Commission.
Beyond the NFF bill that is waiting for assent from the president, there's also the Sports Commission. The Sports Commission bill. I'm in full support of it. It's gone through the first reading. Because when it existed, you saw the technical depth, the professionalism that was brought to bear. I'm not a minister that is averse to it, and in fact, I've been working with some lawmakers. We're trying to look at maybe we should move from it being an executive bill to being a member bill so it can go faster. But I'm in full support of that.
Minister's submission is a pointer to the fact that the National Sport Commission will return, but how soon? Time will tell.
Welcome back. Well, you have heard it there. That was a fantastic package put together by our Oga in NTA there. I must commend you. That was a fantastic package, truly comprehensive. And I'm always worried about the issue of the National Sports Commission. As I said, at the intro to today's program, I have been a witness. I have experienced it. I started when the Ministry of Sports existed side by side with and there was no conflict. As a matter of fact, that was the foundation of Nigerian sports, and things were running smoothly. Roles and responsibilities are shared to every level of administration. And we had the National Institute for Sport, we had the National Sports Commission, and we had the Ministry of Sports. And each one of them had their roles and their responsibilities, and they functioned flawlessly until 1991 or 1992, when the National Sports Commission was subsumed into the Ministry of Sports. I thought that was the first big mistake. Needless to mention who the minister was at the time, but he was a fantastic minister, because of all the ministers that have held that position, he is the one that comes closest to being part of the sports fraternity, because he actually represented, or he was in the national team of Nigeria for academicals before, during his time, before he became minister. So we can say that he's the only minister who comes from the fraternity and rules sport. But he was the one that actually now took away the National Sports Commission and subsumed it under the Ministry of Sports. And that's where the decline of Nigerian sports started. The confusion, not decline, the confusion in understanding the roles and responsibilities of the commission, or the ministry, or even the National Institute for Sports, which is dead. Well, the foundation of the Nigerian Sports Commission can be found in Germany, because the National Sports Commission and the National Institute for Sports had their roots in German sports. And in 2002 or so, when there was confusion again in Nigerian sports, and the federal government wanted to look at the problems and solutions of Nigerian sports and come up with a blueprint for sports development in Nigeria, one of the decisions or actions taken was to go to the country in the world that had become a model for development. And that was Australia. So for 2 years, they worked on Nigerian sports. They came to Nigeria, went around the country, took notes from different people, and came up with a development agenda, a 10-year development plan for Nigeria. And that included the existence of the Ministry of Sport, the existence of the National Sports Commission, and the existence of the National Institute for Sport. All of them existing side by side and developing plans. Yes. And they said that we already had such a template in Nigeria before, but we abandoned it, and they recommended that we should go back. They added their own experience that made them the fastest developing sports nation in the world around that period. So it is a shock for me that up till now, we are still dilly-dallying about the National Sports Commission. So let us start. Kopitando, I will come to you. Welcome anyway. You didn't welcome yourself to the show, so use this opportunity to welcome yourself to the show. And of course, tell us what your thoughts are about the National Sports Commission, to revive it or not.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker, and birthday greetings to you today. I'm sure the whole of Nigeria has felicitated with you on your birthday today. Yes, National Sports Commission, to be or not to be, I've always been an advocate of the National Sports Commission. We have seen it work before in terms of bringing in a little bit more of professionalism into the running of sports, allowing those who are actually professionals in various aspects of sports to decide and determine the way sports is run in the country. The problem we have with the ministry setup is usually the Ministry of Sports is put together with youth, and so you have the bureaucratic setup of the ministry with directors on youth and so on and so forth. Having a National Sports Commission will confer some sort of autonomy onto sports administration in Nigeria. I've presented papers on this issue. There are so many benefits of having a National Sports Commission. Some of them are a better relationship, better synergy with the private sector, because the private sector has a body that is devoid of principles to deal with. So they're a bit more comfortable, the sports commission setup. You also have the opportunity to create a career path for those in the sports sector to develop various career paths in sports.
Yeah.
Sports medicine, sports marketing, sports planning, sports nutrition, and so on and so forth, sports administration. There's so many other reasons that we have for this. Experienced, and from what I have seen, a sports commission structure will be better for us. I think it's a big point in getting ourselves moving in the right direction.
Who wants to join in the conversation at this point? Onome, what do you think?
Yes, for me, first and foremost, Mr. Speaker, you know, in this country we like committee, plenty committee. I'd like to read an excerpt from the act of this sports commission. First and foremost, it dates back to the Empire Games in 1910, Mr. Speaker. 1910, that era of the first Spanish flu. Then now we're in Corona. We are talking about sports commission again. It says here that the commission may, after consultations with the minister, employ upon such terms and conditions as it deems fit a director of sports, and as such other officers and employees of the commission deemed necessary for proper carrying out of these functions under this act. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have the sports minister, we have the sports ministry, we have a lot of staff working in that ministry. What are they doing? Then we will now want to have another NSC. Where are this money going to come from? It is also written in the act that they will be responsible for sponsorships of athletes. From where? With which money? The ministry is always complaining that they don't have money. How would the NSC now have money to ensure that athletes go for events? For me, Mr. Speaker, I don't think we need the NSC anymore. I think it has outlived what it was established for. That is my take, sir.
That's fine. That's fine. That's well taken. But what I see there, without responding to what you say,
sorry, Onome, I think I disagree with you on that.
I want to disagree with you, yeah.
Because...
Go ahead.
Adenike.
Okay, Adenike, over to you.
Yeah, I think I'll disagree with that. Yes, we see what happens in the ministry.
I was trying to say, Onome, that...
No, we'll come back to you. Adenike, go ahead.
I think I'll disagree with Onome in the fact that given what we have in the country now and seeing that all the bureaucracies that come with the places and with the Ministry of Youth and Sport Development, we know that that is particularly attributed to most of our the civil service. However, we know what happens in the Ministry of Sport, that it is not a permanent structure, especially in terms of leadership. And I believe with the establishment of the National Sports Commission and it being firmly rooted, we will have a stronger sports structure that will follow the rudiment of sport, as it were, as what is expected and obtainable in other countries. It is more than a necessity now for us to have the National Sports Commission, because this would allow for professionalism to thrive in the industry. You have deploy the expertise of those professionals who really know about the job and then do it right. the National Sports Commission, like as much as it might seem somehow, even if you compare Ghana, for instance, the National Sports Association, and we think that they're doing not too bad in that aspect. If we have a structure that is in that, the reason for this is, it's, in my opinion, is very cogent to have established the National Sports Commission, and if allowed to do well, it will help with the development of grassroots sports development. It will help with, we see what happens in the States, and we see now what they've done. So it will be like a tree that will not fall down and will trickle down to all of those state sports commissions, and it would have a way of impacting well in our sports. It is a structure that is very necessary and then should be encouraged, in my opinion.
Well, that's great. Kweku, you were going to say something. Let's have you back.
Yes, I wanted to correct the impression that Onome probably had. First of all, there is no National Sports Commission Act now, so it doesn't exist. But what I want to clear, especially with Onome, is that when you have a National Sports Commission, you don't have ministry staff. You have a National Sports Commission with the various departments and all that, and you have the minister as the commission. You don't have separate staff in the ministry again. It's the National Sports Commission staff that are there. So the issue of them having staff not doing anything or budgets not doing anything.
Dr. Tondo, that means you didn't get what I said. I'm sorry, but that means, Dr. Tondo, you didn't get what I said. I said the National Sports Commission has its own Director General. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, and one minister.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that we also have a Ministry of Sports.
Mr. Speaker, can I come in, sir?
Okay. Bega,
you have the minister, not the Ministry of Sports. You have the minister.
That is what I'm saying now. The minister heads the Ministry of Sports. If the minister does not release funds to the commission, how do they function? We are creating so many committees.
No, there is no Ministry of Sports. That's there's no Ministry of Sports. The minister's budget is the budget of the National Sports Commission, not of a ministry.
Okay, so why are we doubling it? Why do we have a Minister of Sports and why do we have a Director General?
No, okay, Gender Speaker. The situation really was that there was a Ministry of Sports separate from the National Sports Commission.
Exactly.
No,
there was not. There was
Mr. Speaker, can I tell you from the there was no need. There's no need to argue about it. Mr. Paulinius Amadike was the Minister of Sports, and the Secretary General, the Director of Sports was Mr. Mogaji. That they had a ministry in Oniko. It was a ministry separate.
That was before. I'm talking of the more recent National Sports Commission and Ministry.
No. That's why I said
you had Abdullah.
No.
You had all the others. There was no Ministry of Sports then.
You're right. So,
Mr. Speaker,
and that's the format that we're recommending.
Okay, can we listen to Bega Okidero?
Mr. Minister, let me just briefly come in from the perspective of somebody who was around sports at a time that both the ministry and the commission functioned, and at a time when it was the ministry alone, and also at another time when it was the National Sports Commission. First and foremost, I like to strongly support the view of the earlier speakers that it is much more desirable and result-oriented for Nigeria at this state of its sport development to bring back the National Sports Commission. And I'll give the most practical example even in the polity today. We have a ministry as large as the Federal Ministry of Information, which also has strategic agencies who have direct responsibility like the News Agency of Nigeria, like the National Broadcasting Commission, and a whole lot of agencies like that. What these agencies and parastatals do is to enhance and hasten the delivery of the core responsibilities of the parent ministry. Let me go back to the early 80s when we had the same Paul Amadike as minister, and also when we had at the time, we had very wide responsibilities, catering for all manners of other or adjunct portfolios like youth, or in this case, sports development and all of that. Whereas the National Sports Commission, with its own board, under the leadership of the Director General, had specific responsibilities for athlete development, facilities management, health management, and other sectors, including management of the same Institute of Sports, which is also another private sector. And what this enhanced was that it enhanced professionalism, it enhanced better monitoring of athletes, better coordination and management of things. For instance, because we had people who had knowledge and experience and strong connections on the board of the Sports Commission at these various times. For instance, when Dr. Samuel Odomida was DG of the Sports Commission, he brought his network of goodwill and insights and experience and attracted a lot of discerning people who came to support sports, from state governments to corporate organizations and all of that. And because at the level of the various associations, we had people who had experiences, who are technocrats in various fields, coming into federation positions, holding offices, it was able to enhance the organization of consistent and more competitions. Funding was also much easier to access because it reduced total dependence on government. And I like to summarize like this. Under a visionary leadership like Mr. Sunday Dare that we're experiencing now, we clearly need to have the Sports Commission to enhance and help him realize his vision, because the commission will be considered with experts, very knowledgeable people, competent people, who will also leverage their connections in the private sector and the various sectors of the economy to encourage federations to run more consistent competitions, bring in technical support from all corners of the world, attract sponsorships, and sponsor and encourage the training of coaches. These are the core functions of the National Sports Commission that under the setup of the ministry. The overwhelming responsibility that the ministry carries, the limited budgets available from time to time, makes it so cumbersome for a ministry. But the Sports Commission is a shorter way of attaining all those goals, and it creates more impact because there is more focused responsibility, there is day-to-day monitoring.